Sorry, I did not do the
That's all right.
the countdown.
Guys, y'all are nodding.
Classic.
Yes, indeed. It's cool. It's hip. It's Noah's Arcade. Hey, everybody.
I'm glad that we've got all those references pinned in right at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Obligatory movie reference created.
Okay, I'm just going to do this tweet here.
Ah. Let's see here.
Okay. I am tweeting.
Oh, there we go.
Now. There it is.
I see it. The thumbnail is great. It's me looking very nice.
Is that right? I didn't even look at that.
He does.
It's a good start to my internet presence.
No, you're all right. You're all right.
It's a nice smile. I'll just keep that going.
You got a smile. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. All right, cool. So I'm going to, so this is actually kind of an experiment, to be honest, because we haven't actually tried live streaming one of our chats like this. But thanks, Jakie, for coming on board and joining us, being our guinea pig here.
Hey, I mean, I'm really happy to do it. It's I appreciate y'all's time, and I think this is a cool experiment, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Cool. So for the people that are kind of joining us right now, hopefully we start getting some viewers joining in shortly, but we'll also have some people probably watching later because we'll have this archived on YouTube. Here's the idea. Gant and I were going to meet with Jakie, who had some questions about running consultancy. And the idea here is, hey, why don't we stream this live? Because there are a lot of interesting ideas, questions maybe that other people have that would have about running a consultancy, and maybe other people can benefit from this. So that's the idea behind this. I'm Jamon Holmgren. I'm CTO of Infinite Red. With me is Gant Laborde. Say hi.
Hello.
Gant.
Hey.
Gant is my business partner, Chief Innovation Officer at Infinite Red, and all-around awesome dude. And also, Jakie is joining us. And Jakie, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Jakie Rice. I'm a software engineer in the web space, and kind of getting ready to transition to the next part of my career. And that's why I reached out to Jamon to see if he might have some sage wisdom that he could pass on. As I saw him kind of chronicling his journey in this career, and it inspired me quite a bit. So glad to be here.
And little did you know you were going to be walking into a trap, because
it's a trap.
It's a trap.
Well done, because we lured you into this online broadcast, which is fun. Yeah. But hey, you know what? We're here now. We're going to have the same conversation we would have had in private, but we're going to do it in front of the literal dozens and dozens of people who will be watching.
Fantastic.
Who knows how many people will be watching. Cool. Anyway, so give me kind of the spiel, what you're kind of interested in talking about, Jakie.
Sure. Yeah. So I've kind of watched Infinite Red over the past few years and admired a lot of the things I've done between open source and just a lot of what I've kind of seen externally from your operations and how your team works. I've seen you, Jamon, and you, Gant, on Twitter, and I've seen just a lot of how y'all interact with each other in the community. And it's really been inspiring to kind of watch that happen. And it looks like y'all have a lot of control over your little universe, or that's what it appears like anyways.
Yeah.
It seems like y'all get to work on a lot of really cool stuff, and do it with some kind of a principled approach. I've listened to some of the Building Infinite Red podcast, and it seems like y'all have really poured a lot of like devotion and effort into building something that's kind of got a quality focus, but really has a team focus as well. And I'm coming from a military background, so like having a strong team of people you can trust to work with is something that's really important to me. I've led teams in the private sector, in software, and really tried to espouse that myself with my own teams. And as I've kind of toyed around with the idea with my business partner or my now business partner, we're very fresh into really kind of, we're going to do this consulting thing, and what that's going to look like for us over the next 3 to 5 years. I really want to kind of gain some, like I said earlier, some sage wisdom about how you can kind of go about building a team that you trust and finding people to come along that journey with you as you grow, as they grow, and like what that means to you. And maybe you've had some good feedback from, coming up from them on that over the past few years. So that's definitely one of the things I want to talk about. I'm sure we could talk about many other things, but
yeah, totally. First, before we get going, Gant, what happened to your display name?
Oh yeah. Well, I saw that I didn't have any title after mine. So I added Chief Innovation Officer, Google Developer Expert, Distinguished Toastmaster, Media Developer Expert, Oracle Groundbreaker.
Is that the first key to me being successful as a consultant? I need to have a string of...
Wait, are all of those real?
Yeah, they are.
Wow, that's congratulations.
Thank you. It's a little late, but it's about time.
I had no idea that we were in the presence of such a distinguished host here. This is awesome. Sorry, Jakey. Yeah, I had to go that direction.
We are not worthy. We are not worthy.
Perfect.
Yeah. So no, this is great. I was once kind of in a similar position. Gant has also been in a similar position. We met each other after having started companies. We have a third co-founder, Todd Worth, who is not on the call right now, but he also had a company before this. So the three of us partners all had run companies before. But like 15 years ago, I was employed at a regional home builder, and doing some website stuff, but it wasn't like, I wasn't a software engineer by any stretch of the imagination. And when I started, I had the benefit of being able to jump 100% into it. I just said, okay, August 1st is going to be my cutoff. I'm going to quit, have like a week, and then I'm going to start my new business. And that's what I did. Luckily, what I was able to do though was I had another company that was going to send me like 100% of my work to start with. So I had some, a way to kind of have a big fat pipeline come in. It was not web design. It wasn't development though. It was actually home design because that was what I was really good at the time. I started getting web clients along that same time because the other company didn't keep me fully busy. So the transition was, at first, kind of, I was able to ease into it, but when the housing crash happened in 2008, that client completely dropped out. They didn't have any extra work to send my way, and so I had to focus 100% on my web, the website of things. And that was brutal, to be honest. That transition was very tough. It took a lot of work, but basically I sat around after, the work dried up. I sat around for a little bit, kind of feeling sorry for myself, like, oh no, why aren't they sending me work? They said they would send me work, etc. And then I was like, you know what? This is my business. This is my responsibility. This is I need to actually like take responsibility for my own destiny. Where am I going to go with this? And I was like, okay, I don't care. I'm just going to print up a bunch of business cards, which are ridiculously cheap. And this was 15 years ago, so it might take a little different approach, but I just went like office door to office door, like asking people if they needed help. Didn't get a lot from that, but it taught me a lot. Taught me a lot about perseverance, a lot about being told no. I had never really tried to apply for a job back then. So like, I wasn't used to being told no all the time, like a lot of, junior developers are. And that set me up for 15 years of being told no, which is basically what sales is. But I got a few yeses, and that was always fun. And was able to to kind of start building from there. What can you add to that, Gant? I know that you had a little different journey.
Well, yeah, you know what I love is that being comfortable. The cold sales is a great way to splash down. There's actually a group of cards that I was looking for called rejection therapy, where every day you have to choose a new way to be told no. So that way you can kind of get through those difficult conversations. And one of my favorites on there is to go ask for a burger refill. you have to you have to get it, then eat it, then go back to the front desk and ask, "I'm ready for my burger refill." And it's full of a bunch of hilarious
bit
things.
tortuous.
Yeah, it is. It is. And that's honestly what you have to go through at some points. I think that these sort of like what James was talking about, going from building to building with a business card, I did that as well. But I didn't do it even for my own business. I did it for a business that I was working for, and they were going under, and I was trying to sell a service that I had created for them. And it was kind of a wild ride. I'd say like that as this entire avenue has sort of materialized in front of me. It is going out there and getting told no. It's trying to make ends meet. It's trying to figure these things out. And it's having conversations like we are now. I've had good business partners, bad business partners, excellent situations kind of taken away from me. Gotten in first and didn't know what to do just out of pure ignorance, and then had someone else kind of take the ball and score the touchdown. And you could take a look, it's the light bulb story, which is I didn't find 2,000 ways, that were failures to make a light bulb. I found 2,000 ways that didn't work, so that I could find the right, exactly. Not, and you just need to find the one that actually works. And I think that's what the key is from Jamon's struggles and our struggles, is that you only have to be successful once. Mm-hmm. And if you can keep that in mind, you can suffer any how along the way.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. It sounds like it takes a lot of guts I mean, I'm self-taught in web development and software, and I'm sure we could throw around all the terms that are plenty, imposter syndrome and everything that comes with that, lack of confidence. I think before I got my first full-time job, I actually had another small company that was supposed to be doing something totally different, but I picked up a few web clients through it. And so I was kind of lucky, like Jamon, in a lot of ways. I had that first client that I got a project through some, connections, and I got to learn a lot through that, but not really in a business. It's more just a web sense. So I was very lucky that way. But when I was applying for those first full-time jobs, I think I got, I talked to 70 something recruiters. I got, destroyed on many a whiteboard challenge. So maybe that might be worse than having to ask for another burger at McDonald's.
Right.
Right. So it's good to hear that that's a skill in y'all's minds to be able to maybe deal with that in some ways. But you both kind of brought up you had those kind of tough challenges of there were times when you weren't getting the success, maybe the money wasn't flowing. Jamon, I know you have a family. Gant, I'm not super sure about you.
I'm behind on Jamon on that one. I just started a family.
Okay, very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm married, and I have a son who's he's 9 years old.
Cool.
So that's definitely, that security is something I'm looking at too. What kind of, how do you, or Jamon, how did you approach I have a family? You were already married when all this was starting. What was that gut wrenching, terrifying feeling of what if I don't have a client, or money's not coming in? How do I deal with that?
Yeah, you're surfacing some old anxieties. No, I'm just joking. No, I totally get it. When I started my business, I was married, fairly newly married, maybe 3 years or something, and I had a 6-month-old, 2 years, I guess, because I had a 6-month-old son. Which you saw in that Twitter thread. I know that's how we got connected, Jakie, was through that Twitter thread that I did about my office that I was just moving out of. And so Cedric, he was he was young, and my wife had quit her job. She was a dental assistant, but didn't pay super well, and she wasn't like super into it. And we thought this would be better for her to be home. And of course, we had four more kids, or three more kids for a total of four. So yeah, I mean, we had a mortgage, we had a new house too, and so we had a mortgage and expenses. One good thing was that because Kyra, my wife, was at home, she could focus on like economizing, like coupon clipping, and doing all those things that we needed to do to kind of get by. And it was kind of ridiculous, to be honest, how little we were able to spend, like how little we were able to. And of course 2005 is a little different time than 2020 in terms of, like I think our mortgage at that time was under $1,000 a month. Might have been right around 1,000, something like that.
Yeah.
Which is like amazing when you think about it. Like there's hardly anything like that out there anymore. But it was still a lot. Like, I mean, it was still a fair amount of money coming out, especially when my first month's income was $1,158. And I look at that and say, okay, mortgage and $158 is what we get, like that.
Wow.
Doesn't even
You
cover
were
utilities.
really praying for one of those hamburger refills, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we had some savings. So, I could kind of weather the storm a little bit. I was a big kind of Dave Ramsey guy. I don't know if you've heard of Dave Ramsey, but he's a big like personal finance guy that says, build your emergency fund. So we did that. We had the emergency fund and we were living off it. And then just worked super hard to make things happen. I will say though, that if I were to do it over again, there are a lot of things I would do differently. A lot of things I would do differently. First off, I would definitely focus more on getting that inbound pipeline of sales, even though I had 80 to 90% of my, work coming in through this other company. I would, like Mark Cuban said, that there haven't been any companies that have failed because they've had too many sales. And it's true. Well, not entirely true. If you price your services too low, you can go out of business having too many sales. But
that makes sense.
The main premise is good. Like really invest more than you feel like you should in your marketing and your sales aspect. And right now we have 3 owners at Infinite Red, and 2 of them, both of which are in this call, are focused on marketing. That's Gant, and sales, me. Yeah. We devote 2/3 of our ownership brain power toward those things. It's a huge deal. And of course we do other things, like Gant does other things. I do other things. We wear many hats at Infinite Red, but it's a sign of what I would have done. I would have really focused a ton of time on new business acquisition and, like just biz dev in general. And there are many different ways to do that. And there are tons of resources out there. Some are good, some are bad. A lot of it is just try things, learn, don't get too stuck in your ways. Be willing to step outside your comfort zone every single day, because you're going to have to. And as you step outside your comfort zone gets bigger. There are things that I would do now, like for example, taking a random Zoom call and just putting it live on YouTube that I would never have done even if the technology was there in 2005. I just didn't have the confidence back then. But I'm certainly able to do that because I've been through the ringer. But yeah, going back to your question, Jakie, it's like that was definitely, there were many times through building my business where I had like a gut punch, where it's physically like feels tough. And I'm sitting there looking at the numbers, like using like my financial software and trying to figure out where this money can come from. And then eventually being like, I got to put money into the business to have the privilege to have this stress. Like, this is not fun at all. And that part definitely sucks. And I can tell you that didn't just happen once, that happened many times.
Yeah. That's a great way to say it, is that when you push your comfort zone, it gets bigger. Because I can tell you, when I went from W-2 to basically going full freelance, I was so afraid that I was making the dumbest decision of my life. when I left, my comfy, don't worry, as long as you're sitting in your cube at 8 o'clock and you leave a little bit after the boss, you're gonna get paid job. I grabbed every freelance thing I could, and I jumped in with starting off the original, like way long ago, Infinite Red. I was moonlighting, I was doing stuff, but I just jumped in full time. I did that, and then I had another full time contract, and then I also had a teaching gig, which was my, hey, if everything goes to hell in a handbasket, I can survive. And I just worked. That was all I was. Well, I was working 3 jobs all at the same time because it was that scary for me to step off that ledge. And then obviously I was at some point, you let go of the training bars and you say, okay, I can do this. But that was a scary, scary moment for me. I think it's a scary moment for everybody because you've got people depending on you. But I think that at the same time, when you let go, you've let go at a smart time. So lining up a lot of work, like Jamon was saying, is such a great initiative. Making sure that you're figuring out inbounds, figuring out how to do these things, and no college degree is gonna let you know how to do something like that. It honestly, I think, is figuring out getting one, whether by luck or just pure, or accident. I don't know. And then sort of taking that formula and growing it for yourself forward. And I think that we're always doing that at Infinite Red as well, because the company's still growing. So we're still making mistakes every day. That's the
Right.
only way we can do it.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I think that's the only way to do it, and especially in web development, right? It's web and I guess mobile. A lot of way, for y'all.
Or CSS, right? That's just like all
Yeah,
CSS
I
is
mean,
100% mistakes.
just they're literally cascading mistakes. Um, so yeah, I mean that's really great. Like a great way to look at it from both of you. I think I am very fortunate in kind of a lot of the ways I have a lot of privileges. I am a disabled veteran. I have some kind of some security and things that I can I don't think at any point I'm ever going to let my family down. So I have an opportunity to kind of springboard. I have full time W-2 work. Like but I'm looking to the future. That 3 to 5 years, I want to be. I feel like I've learned a lot over the past few years working for full time companies and kind of doing a little bit of my my own client work and stuff. And talking with my partner who I'm going into this with, we both have this idea of like we know what like quality software means to us. We know what quality teamwork means to us. We want to kind of have that kind of control as we get into the point of our careers where we're reaching that kind of maturity level. And it's important for us to kind of start on it now and start laying down that work and kind of looking for the team members and the kind of ways we want to look for work. And then also I think that like the biz dev piece of it's really essential. Like again, we'll probably both be okay financially, but every day, even though I have that in the back of my head, I'm going, but I live well now. Like I need, like, how do I keep providing to that level for my family? Right. And so that kind of like, I guess, standing up that pipeline of like, what's the next opportunity? Maybe having a business card of some sort, whether it be Twitter, impromptu ad hoc Twitter live streams of just like, hey, there is a guy and he does web development and he focuses on quality, that type of stuff. I think is probably going to be something I need to look out for and focus on.
Yeah, it's that taking that first step. And one of the things I would caution you early on is protect your time, protect your business partner who tuned in, Logan, protect his time. And that is really important when one of you is working on a client project. That means that they are not working on the business, and it's totally okay to do. I did for many, many years, probably 8 of the 10 years I initially started my business. Then I met Gant and Todd and another business partner who has since left, Ken, and we started Infinite Red 5 years ago. One of the things I learned from them was, and I think Gant also learned this at sort of the same time, was because Todd and Ken are older than us and have kind of been through this before. but they said, you know, just even recently, Todd reminded me, he said, you know, just because you're not being productive doesn't mean that you're not moving the company forward, because productivity, it's easy to kind of get kind of pushed into this productivity myth where it's like, I'm billing a ton of time, you know, like this is really good. Well, that's actually the easy way, honestly. That's the
Selling
easy,
time.
You're selling time. You're just kind of, you got to realize, and I'm giving away the whole thing here. I'm 100% giving it away for the people who have tuned in. Ultimately, what a business is, a service-based business like ours, is Tom Sawyer painting the fence. So there's this old story, Mark Twain, Tom Sawyer is told to paint a fence. And I don't know if he was getting paid for it or not. Let's pretend like he was. If he had painted the fence, he would have gotten paid the amount, whatever, that he was supposed to get paid, let's say $1. And it would have been hot work, uncomfortable work, and he would have been spending all of his time doing that. Instead, he convinced a bunch of his neighbor boys, like friends, to come paint the fence for him. And he sat in the shade, like drinking whatever, and he still got paid the money. And I don't remember if he even paid his, but you know, like let's say that he paid them, fine. Yeah, these are employees. You're getting the work. You're kind of getting this moving. And that frees up your time to do things like make sure that the quality is good, make sure that you're getting the next fence lined up. You're making sure that you deal with any personal kind of like conflict between the employees, being available. You know, someone at the end of the fence is like, hey, this board's loose. And you're like, okay, I'm there. Where if you're sitting there painting, you don't have time to go do that stuff. You don't have time to deal with those things. Now, I will say you're going to be painting a lot of fences when you first start. That's just the way it works. But ultimately, the sooner that you can get people, hire people to do it, and make sure they're supported and put a culture in place that you want. We always said at the very beginning, we want the type of business that we would want to work at, because it didn't exist at the time. And if we had found a place like Infinite Red, we probably would have stayed there, because that would have been awesome. So build that type of culture, build that type of place, because not everybody wants to start their own business. You know, like there are people that want to come and be the employees and do the ones, you know, they're painting the fence, treat them well, and make sure that there's work in front of them, that sort of thing. Yeah, what do you have to add to that?
Yeah, that's 100% right. You know, we talk about how cash flow is king, money is important, stuff like that. If you really are just looking at money, you're probably not looking at starting your own business, even in dev. You know, you can learn that arcane technology, be a consultant in San Francisco, pull in your ridiculous, like, I happen to know how to hook this up to this, and I'm the person, and it's $700,000 a year or whatever, or something like that. But your agency is gone. Your power is gone. You've traded power and agency and control for money. And if you do that, then you can reach these amazing heights. But that's the thing. It's not being the best at painting fences. That'll only get you so far. Just like in Jamon's analogy, you have to love the contract of getting the contract. You have to have a little bit of there, and then getting the right people and making sure everybody's happy painting that fence and working together. Like if you love that, then you will build a place where it happens. Not right away, not immediately, but at some point you'll get to the point where you can look at a contract and say no. And that's how you know you've done it. Because when you're starting off, you've got the 3 jobs like I did. You're taking every contract. I know Jamon someone would show up and he'd be like, we can do it. And it was a really cool can-do attitude. But at some point you have enough clout agency, you've created a place that's safe, and you can take the work that's really efficient. And if that means a lot to you, then this is a really great avenue. Having a say, having that power, not trading it in for cash. And go work at Google if you want just the cash.
Yeah, I hear Cobalt's pretty hot right now.
I can hook Cobalt up to AWS. I'm the one person.
Yeah, just throw some Kubernetes at the Cobalts with the GraphQL, and then
done.
Well, everything will be better.
I pretty much have already written it.
Yes, but I mean, you're right though. Like, I don't want to be working in COBOL, honestly.
Right.
Like, I saw it all one time, and not really what I'm looking at, you know.
Yeah.
So that having that agency is something that's kind of really important to me and my business partner as well. Like I said, and yet, you know, y'all both brought up multiple times now. One with a great Mark Twain metaphor. You know, like somebody has to be painting the fences. Like, and you know, that's again, you know, coming from a military background, like having a very tight team that I can trust. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's everything. The team and leadership is everything in the military. Like, without it, people die. Like,
Right.
you know, that's it's crucial. And you know, I think I found a lot of times, you know, it's different working in a kind of a W-2 full-time position. You know, I've worked at enterprise, I've worked at startup, worked at telecom, which is totally different than both enterprise and startup. It's weird. You know, but like you get put on a team, and maybe you can take leadership of that team, and you can build that culture a little bit to an extent, right? But when you're trying to build it yourself, how have y'all found, like, you know, what does it look like to bring somebody on and like kind of grow with them and help them grow? And like, I mean, it looks, you know, Jamon, it looked like you brought guys right into this career, and you still are with some of them. And like, how do you keep it to where, I mean, I'm sure y'all have a certain level of friendship, but it's also like, you also still have to be their leader, and they have to respect that level of, you know, I use the term authority very carefully, but like there has to be some level of like, we are for real going to use this technology. Like, we're focusing in on it. Like, this is the contracts we're doing type stuff. And I'm sure sometimes there's dissent of those opinions. How have you kind of navigated, one, helping grow your team and grow those developers with yourself, and then you know, making sure that you maintain that respect for, you know, I mean, this goes for both y'all. Like, what does that look like for y'all?
That's a very we could probably do a whole show just on that question, to be honest. But that's been something that I've had a lot of learning to do over the years. I kind of at one point was just kind of like, oh, we're just doing it. Like, you know, shut up and commit. Let's do this. And that works, but it's not great. You know, it can cause a lot of problems. What I found works best for you know, that type of leadership. Number one, obviously, you do have to earn the respect of people around you. I think part of that is just kind of knowing who you are. Also doing things like really actually having empathy for them, and you know, trying to understand where they're coming from, and trying to hear those sides. I think if you're in a situation where, okay, you know, we're discussing whether we're going with TypeScript or not, or something like that. You can say, okay, what are people's thoughts? And some people will come across like way too hard. You know, like they just turn it up to 11, and they're like, you know, TypeScript's the worst thing ever. If we do this, we're just going to be like throwing the whole business away. And it's like, okay, thanks for your input. You know, and some people will come across with like ridiculously awesome, nuanced, you know, opinions. A lot of people will just be like, I don't know, like I don't really know. And what I've found works really well for this sort of thing is we say, okay, we're going to run an experiment. We're going to do this on a project. We're going to do this on 2 projects. We're going to do this for a month. We're going to do this for 2 months. Set a boundary, set of bounds. And then the people that are kind of like, to use a semi-military term, boots on the ground, the people that are there actually doing the work are going to then come back and say, hey, I want your honest assessment about how it felt to use this technology. And I want it to be kind of like as objective as possible. Try to make it so that, you know, like we understand the pros and the cons, because every technology choice is a trade-off. And at that point, we'll make a decision. What I found is that almost all the time, when you get to that point, like a month later or whatever, or after a project, and the people that have used it come in and give their opinion, the answer becomes very clear for everybody. No, we shouldn't use this, or yes, we should use this. In the rare cases where it's unclear, you can make the call, and you can just be like, okay, I understand it's a little foggy right now. We're going to have to make a decision. So I'm just going to say we're going to do this. But decisions are temporary. We can always come back to this, and we can always make a different decision later. But this is the decision. And then at that point, the expectation is people will commit and they will do the best job that they can within the constraints that you put in front of them. If you are in a position where you're constantly getting second guessed later, it's sometimes an indication that you have a a problem, someone on the team who's really not fitting in, not buying in, not pulling the same direction. There are various ways to deal with that. Obviously, the most severe is to fire them, but you can also deal with it with one-on-one chats, with asking different things. It really that's a whole nother subject. Gant, what do you have to add to that?
Yeah, I'll say the one-on-one's a great spot where you depressurize the vast differences, because so Jamon is naturally an alpha, which is really this is where we're going. This is what we're gonna do. Sometimes we call him the bull. Sometimes we call him the bull in the china shop. You never know.
Yes,
but it's
Is that how we ended up in this
valuable.
live stream?
Yeah, somehow we ended up in this live stream because I suggested it and then turned it on.
Yeah, exactly. And that's great. That sort of that executive lack of hesitation really helps out. The counterbalance is, again, what he was saying later on, is that you need that one-on-one. That depressurizes everything else. Good communication. I think one question we ask on our one-on-ones, which is probably one of the most valuable aspects of this, is, if you were in charge tomorrow, what would you change? And then giving that opportunity when that's a chance to sort of wear the hat for a moment, feel the weight of the crown. And if a person puts that hat on, starts immediately saying something, which is really, really, really rare, by the way, then you need to get that information. That's important to listen to. If they put that hat on and they're like, this is awkward, and they take it off really quick, then I'd say you're doing a good job. There's no huge pressure differential. Now, between one-on-ones, there will be changes in that, and it's good to jump in. With us being a company that cares a lot at our core about people, making sure that they don't do hard things alone, and checking in. It's part of our mantra that that's a thin web for you to connect through to anybody you need to talk to, and we'll make time for everybody. And that's, again, what Jamie was talking about earlier. Being available versus being productive can be the most productive thing that you do. If somebody is feeling that pressure, regaining that trust, like you're saying, in certain military aspects, lives are lost, but in work, like, trust is still super key. While the stakes aren't as high, they're still very important to the life of the company. And I think that's really great, because you don't have an analysis paralysis. We're going to move into a particular direction, and we can pivot and we can adjust and we can get closer to perfection over time. We don't need to line up our one shot and make sure it's the most perfect thing ever, because no one ever takes that shot.
Yeah. I mean, that's I think y'all pretty much just put into words kind of what I've observed and like felt from like I said, the operations I've watched y'all kind of partake in across the community and stuff. It's almost like you're applying like inversion of control to your management, right? Like it's letting that ownership come from the ground. I think that's super important, and it's something that I definitely want to push, and hopefully, as I grow a team and find developers to work with, that I can, have that same kind of relationship. It seems like y'all are actually part of the team, from everything that I've seen, like I think that's really cool and something that I would love to have my own version of someday. So I know we've only got like a couple more minutes. I'm sure I could ask y'all questions all day long, and maybe we could do this again sometime.
Be fun.
But is there anything like y'all could y'all want to ask me just like that, anything I've said that's like, whoa, hey, don't do that, like you need to hold your horses, guy, kind of stuff.
I have one. I want to know what you think your biggest challenge is to this, and then it sounds to me like you've already set your goal. It's not money. It's specifically, you want to be successful in building this. So what's holding you back?
I think, one of the things that's held me back is that kind of lack of confidence. I wouldn't say I have imposter syndrome. Like the things that I'm good at, I'm good at. Like I know that. A lot of it's been I don't have a classical training. I have done some small client work. Some of it successful, some of it not. I've led teams successfully in the private sector. But I haven't really got to work in a place that I feel like yet where I have gotten to a level of my craft, if you will. I hope I don't get beat up on Twitter for saying software engineering is a craft. But I'm looking. I don't want to hold myself back from saying I'm not there yet to do this. If my business partner Logan is watching right now, he's probably going, "You fool! Like we can do this." I think that's kind of where we're at right now. It's like we're on the edge of the diving board. Yeah. Like, what is that first step, and are we really going to go for it, kind of thing? And so, I honestly, talking to y'all today has been amazing, and like. Awesome. It does push me. Like, I'm still going to keep working full time. I think we're going to approach this in kind of hopefully an incline, a graceful incline. But I think I do have, we've had a couple of these plans. Like, hey, I've designed some logos. Man, the Infinite Red name. Like, I wish I could we could come up with a name that cool. We're thinking Timber Labs.
Todd's gonna like hearing that.
We grew up in the East Texas pines in Tarkington, Texas. So Timber Labs is what we're looking at, and got some cool tree logos and stuff. Looking at, fortunately, my best friend is an attorney. He's, we're trying to make sure that we're going to form the company correctly. Like these are the things that we're trying to put in place early so that we can really, once we get that opportunity, we can move on it and like really go for it. So
nice.
Awesome. No, that's good stuff. We are running up against the clock. I know Gant's got another thing to go to. But thanks for everybody for joining us for this.
Todd heard.
We have Todd jumping in for.
He heard that you liked Infinite Red, so here he is.
Just like that.
If you say this in any meeting, no matter what meeting it is,
he just appears.
You need a mirror, and you say Todd Worth 3 times, and Infinite Red's cool, and there he is.
I heard my name.
Hi, Todd. Yeah.
Nice.
So I do want to wrap this up, though. We definitely, I think Gant and I want to keep doing some more streams. Hopefully we can get Todd on the next one as well. Before 2 minutes before it ends. That'd be awesome.
Coming in at the end to take credit for everything.
Take credit for that's the CEO's job.
That is a good CEO move.
Totally.
If you pick one thing up, there it is.
Now I know how to run the company.
Just like that. But for people that are watching, hit like on this. I guess I don't know where we're going to be doing this, if we're going to be doing it on my personal YouTube or if we'll find another place. You can hit subscribe though if you want. And thanks a lot for coming along with us. Thanks for reaching out, Jakie, and also for your willingness to jump on an impromptu show, which just totally came to mind as we started talking. I was like, let's do this. Let's figure out a way to do this. Also, of course, Gant, for all of your wisdom and all of the letters behind your name, which add weight to everything we say.
I actually grabbed that and made a little bit of Photoshop of it.
Good job.
You did? Oh, I want to see this.
This is gonna be good.
Awesome.
Okay.
But yeah, thanks a lot. I'm gonna shut down the stream. Thanks everybody, and we will see you later.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Nice to
Cheers.
meet you.